All right, so our goal today, we're going to practice kind of an older skill, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing polynomials. So we're going to start with A. 4x to the 1/2 plus negative 9x to the 1/2. I think what I would do first, just because I like it better on certain problems, is I would change it to radical form. And I would have 4 square root of x minus 9 square root of x. And what would that give me as an answer? Rob? Perfect. Negative 5 square root of x. Perfect. Then I'm going to say 4x to the 1/2 minus negative 9x to the 1/2. Again, I just like radical form better for a problem like this. I'm going to change the opposite of subtraction to addition. And what would you have for that one, Spinda? Good. And don't forget your square root of x at the end, okay? 13 square root of x. And for the last one, when we multiply, we have 4x to the 1/2 times negative 9x to the 1/2. So I would probably gather the things that are like terms first. So 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. Then x to the 1/2 times x to the 1/2 means you do what with the exponents, Riley? Multiplying like bases, what do you do with the exponents? Perfect. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 2 over 2, which is 1. And you could just write x because the exponent of 1 can be understood. Let's see, D be divide. So if we did f of x divided by g of x, f of x divided by g of x, bless you, I stuck that D in there. If you divide like bases, you subtract the exponents. So what is 1/2 minus 1/2? 0. And anything to the 0 power is just what? That whole thing cancels to be 1. Very good, Wes. So we have negative 4/9. And that's each one of the functions using our newer rational exponents. All right. Sure, yeah, absolutely. Sorry. This skill is super important. There are 2 super important skills in this lesson. Reviewing, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, but a huge skill to review is composite functions. And I don't know how much of composite functions you all did in Algebra 1, so that will be at the end of today. As soon as you guys practice this skill, we're going to come back together and start composite functions because 6.3 has 2 huge parts. The practice for this particular goal, adding, subtracting, and dividing functions, if I give you a question that looks like this. Do what, sweetie? Yeah, If I give you this, this is a flashback, and this is what we're going to be practicing today. You had to help her? Yeah. How would you attack this? Most students don't like the side-to-side method. Does anybody in here have another method they would use? Anybody? A lot of kids mistaken this for FOIL or distributive property. It's not, because it has the addition between the parentheses. Go ahead. So if I match them up one on top of each other, is that what you're talking about? Leave a space where there's nothing to go under negative 5y? Who would do it that way? Raise your hand. Several of you. It's called the stacking method, but everybody doesn't use it. You have the vertical, then here this is vertical. That has no partner for the vertical. And even though it looks ugly, I mean, it's virtually the same. Let's work the same problem, but let's do it subtract the second time. What's going to happen if I have you do subtract the second time? How does it change the problem, Lakin? Which signs? Yes, you are correct, but which signs? It's an expression, but yeah, which one? Good, the second one. Very good. So, negative, positive, negative. Yes, it should. Yes, you get a point for that. It should be 3y to the third, guys. So then, once I've taken care of all the signs, then you change this back to addition. Are you the official point person? Oh, I thought you were doing theirs. So, go ahead. You sure? The key on subtract is to make sure that you change all the signs in the second polynomial. Many people miss this on the exam for Chapter 5. What method would you do for this, Erica? How did you know it was the box and not the stacking method? Say that again. Times is the key there. If it's a times, then you can use, well, you can't use FOIL on this one, but the distributive property or the box method, not the stacking method. There is a stacking method that I showed you guys in notes, but nobody seemed to like it. It was like long division, only with multiplication. Did anybody get a different answer than me when you finish? What if I ask you to multiply 3 things? How would you attack that, Harrison? Do you use FOIL or distributive or box on your first 2? You pick, I'm saying. FOIL. All right. FOIL on the first 2. First times first, n squared. Outside times outside, 2n. Inside times inside, 3n. Last times last, 6. So we have n squared plus 5n plus 6 times n minus 1. What would you do, Hannah D, for finishing up the problem? What method? You would use box? Okay. So I'm going to use n and negative 1. Quick review.